Whoa, well, hello there, YouTube. That's a way to start the video off, huh? But yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, I'm cutting on early, not to drive you guys nuts with a freeway vlog, but this is you're only going to see sun down in this area, unfortunately. Once I get home, the sunset is setting so short now that it's by the time I get home, it's behind the mountains. I'm actually getting in my area before sunset, but I don't realize that time because of the Willapa Hills out there, and cuts me short. You can see how low it is now. That's pretty crazy. And it's what, 7 minutes after 5. I actually tried to get out a little early today to try to get home in the sunset, but that didn't pan out for me. And I switched to the clear shield. My other one, I just bought a new one. God dang, it's $50 for a shoey shield. Come on, Sprinter, get it on over here if you want to. You don't get away with that very often. A long turn signal equals people cutting in front of you. If it blinks more than 3 times, you didn't mean it, as the old saying goes. And I do have my phone with me tonight. If I used that vlog last night, I had to pull off the side of the road and whip my iPad out and turn the cellular on and text a co-worker to grab my phone and lock it up somewhere. I forgot the thing sitting on the counter. Look at that the old Ford Crown Vic Stater car. I didn't know they were even using any of those things. Most of what they use now is those, what are those things? The Ford Explorer, is that what it is? The little SUV? Man, in cop trim, them things look smoking hot. They look so cool. I mean, they look bad to the bone. I remember my granddad would always, my uncle owned a Chevy dealership, and he'd go to my uncle and I want the police car, and he'd get it and have, you know, of course it didn't have lights and on radios or none of that stuff, but all the suspension and the different things that the police cars have, you know, he'd pay the extra, but that's what he wanted. I remember he had this Chevy, what was that thing called? The Grand Prix? Not the Grand Prix, not the Impala, Caprice. The Caprice, the old boxy Caprice of the early mid 80s. Those things were cop cars forever. Maybe we went to my grandfather just passed away in 85, and that fall we went to see my grandparents or my grandmother in South Carolina, and I got a bunch of other relatives that live there too, so it's a whole, you know, like family reunion kind of a thing. And of course, you know, my grandmother didn't drive, she never drove, but had my granddad's Caprice Classic, whatever the heck it was, and oh my lord, that thing fast, and it handled so good. Couldn't believe this big old boat anchor car would handle so good. And it sounded so good. You romp on it, them old 4 barrels, they boom, boom. Oh man. So, always being in photography, I took a few rolls of film to to this 1 hour photo booth thing to get them developed, you know. And we were taking off to go to my aunt's house. That's where we're all going to have Thanksgiving, was there. And I'm not sure where it was. My grandmother was living in Georgetown, South Carolina, and I forget where. I don't remember where. They were just outside. I don't think it was in Conway. In fact, my aunt and uncle that that owned the Chevy dealer lived in Conway. I don't think it was that far out. I forget where it was. That's been a long time ago. But anyway, we were all gonna, my dad says, well, you need to be back by such and such time because we're all taking off to go to Aunt Phoebe. So we're out goofing around. I got the film and stuff, and my little brother and I are out horsing around in that car, and I'm going, oh man, we're gonna be late. So I'm romping, you know, tire squalling, drifting around turns, and just going crazy. Oh man, I got a little confused as to where I was in relation to where my grandmother's house was. So I come bombing around this corner, and I thought it was a couple blocks down, so I come around this corner off the main road and going into the neighborhood, and I go bombing and squalling around this turn, and just pinned it. I don't think, flying through this neighborhood. I go flying by, and here's my mom and dad standing on the front porch of my grandmother's house. So and I just like shoo, go flying by, and they're looking, you know. So in my feeble little mind, I thought, well, my dad will never know that was me that just bombed by. I'll just go down here, go around the block, and come back, you know. I'll just loop around and come the same way I came in, but I'll drive all nice and calm. Oh, I wouldn't fool my old man that quick. He knew damn well that was me. But my grandmother and everything was there, so he didn't like freak out on me right there at the point. But they were, you know, they had made some casseroles and different things, you know, to bring there. So my mom and grandmother went inside to grab the next things, and my old man, he grabbed a hold of me by the cuff of the neck there, and here you go, son. And I don't remember what he said, but he was pissed off. He was mad. And I had to drive there, and old man sat with me up in the front seat, and I kept, you know, I'd glance over his way, and he had that look on his face. You know that look on your father's face when he's like seriously pissed off at you. But later on, we laughed about it. You know, he was madder than hell at the time. He was probably more embarrassed that I do something so stupid, you know. But he laughed about it later on. He was going, damn, I know that old Chevy would go that fast. He goes, you must have come by the house at about $110. I probably wasn't even going 50 or 60. But you're talking a neighborhood where, you know, you should be going through there like 10 or 15 miles an hour. It was Thanksgiving. There wasn't a soul to be found anywhere, you know. It was like everybody's already wherever they're going, and there was like no traffic or people anywhere. Everybody's all inside doing their family stuff, you know. But anyway, that funny little tidbit. Oh man, when I pulled in that driveway, I could tell by the look on my dad's face, I did not pull no wool over his eyes. I remember my mom going, that wasn't you that just come flying by here, was it? And I remember not answering because I thought, you know, I think Dad knows that was me, you know, so I just kind of voice, and, you know, she didn't force an answer out of me. She was going like, I'm pretty sure that looked like you and Russell flying by in your granddad's car. She goes, I think your dad is pissed off. Yeah, I'm gonna get it for this one. I was too old at that point to you know, go out and have a belting across the ass. Oh man! But at any rate, that old Caprice Classic, whatever that thing was, the old 4-door boxy Chevy police car, that thing was something else. And man, just raw right to the bone. I don't think it even had air conditioning in it. It didn't have no police back seat in it. It had a regular seat in it, but I mean, there was no frills, no thrills on this thing. And it had the cool wheels, you know, and the cool tires and the little mini hubcaps that they use on them, you know. And I remember my mom complaining because those big old cars, them things float down the road like you're floating on a waterbed, you know, just super smooth. And that one wasn't so smooth. That beefed up suspension and stuff in them. She ran a little rougher than normal. Oh, but it was cool though. Cool stuff. I remember, you know, asking what because obviously my grandma's not going to drive that car, you know. I hadn't even decided, you know, it hadn't been that long since my grandfather had died, so, you know, what are we going to do with all this stuff? And old man's like, hey, no way. He goes, you have any idea what it costs to drive that sucker back here? We're just going to sell it. And my grandmother, bless her heart, she lived another 7 years by herself. My grandfather died in 85 and she died in 92. Pretty sure it was 90. Yeah, it was 92. And man, what a peaceful way to go. She slipped away in her sleep. I don't think she ever had they had a TV. My grandfather used to watch TV. Anyway, she had this favorite chair that she sat in the living room, and she'd knit and do different things, you know. And my aunt or something was coming over to take her somewhere to go do something. And she shows up that morning to pick her up, and she doesn't answer the door, so she goes in, and she was sitting in that favorite chair of hers, just like she was asleep. And my aunt, you know, she was still dressed and everything, you know, so it probably happened, you know, later in the afternoon before she, you know, got ready for the end of day or whatever. I guess when you know, of course my aunt, you know, went to shake her to wake her up, you could tell that, you know, she had slipped on. But I don't remember what the cause of death was, but whatever, it was very peaceful. She just sat in that chair and just turned off. You know, no, she was sitting there like she was asleep, so obviously there's no struggle or whatever, you know. Who knows? I don't know what happened, but she just slipped away. So, man, we could all hope that that's how our time comes, you know. You're at peace and happy with the world, and, you know, your time comes and you just sign off. No struggle, no long illness, no horrifying traffic accident or anything like that, you know. I think all of our worst fear, and I'm sure we're all with this, you know, is having some horrible, lengthy illness, you know. Oddly enough, I was talking about my dad's passing on the way to work today. And somehow I don't even know how I ended up talking about that. Somehow or another I rolled into that, as I tend to do. But I don't know that he suffered, but I can't imagine he didn't suffer. You know, the thing that horrified me is, you know, for not quite a year, but for a long time, you know, he just got to where he couldn't communicate with anybody. You know, there was no interaction. You know, my mom basically, you know, get him up in the morning, clean him up, and she'd walk him out, and he'd sit at the kitchen table. I think it even got to a point she had to feed him. And then he'd sit in a chair out in the living room, and he loved watching these old westerns. So, you know, she turned on that Encore or somebody that has that western channel, and he'd just sit there and just smile. It must have just gave him great pleasure seeing them old westerns. And what's wild is my dad was never a television guy, ever. He had his thing, you know, where he'd watch the news at night, and, you know, you didn't disturb him. He'd watch all his financial news and different things, and that was his thing, you know. But he didn't sit around watching any kind of, he didn't watch no movies or sitcoms or anything like that. I remember it was a rare thing when we'd sit down and watch a movie all together, you know. My dad always have some project or whatever, you know, and I loved it when he had all these crazy projects and hang out, you know, and all kinds of crazy stuff he'd come up with. But I'll never forget, we're still in Texas, and Smokey and the Bandit, you know, the thing played in theaters for literally months, you know, and the thing finally came on TV. That might have been after we moved up here. I don't recall, but anyway, I remember us all watching, and my dad had one of these just absolutely addictive laughs. If he laughed, you couldn't help but to laugh. You know, he was happy and smiled a lot, but, you know, get a good old bold laugh out of him. My granddad could do that to him, so could my Uncle Jeff. Oh man, you get my Uncle Jeff and my granddad together, and yeah, I remember my granddad was a Baptist minister, you know, and I'd hear things come out of my granddad that no Baptist minister should be saying. Oh, it'd make my grandmother so mad. She'd be in there hollering at him, especially when I'd sit there, I'd just glue to him. My granddad, to me, was the most fascinating man I've ever met, and still to this day. And funny, oh my God, he was funny. Just that good old down-to-earth Southern funny. Oh man. And it wasn't just me, you know, anybody who was around, he'd have them in stitches in no time. The way he tells stories, you know, all his gestures and stuff, you know, he's very animated and telling stories, and you're just glued to him. Me being a kid, you know, hearing all these crazy stories, that was fan-freaking-tastic. Anyway, he could get my dad absolutely in hysterics. Just, I mean, my dad bending over, turning purple. He's laughing so hard he can't breathe, you know. Anyway, we were watching Smokey and the Bandit, and the one part I remember, it just had him in hysterics, and he couldn't stop laughing. It was an old Jackie Gleason, you know, he turns to his son there, and he goes, when I get home, I'm going to punch your mama right in the mouth. Whenever that movie comes on, I got it saved on a DVR. Sometimes I'll just turn the thing on. But if I ever come across the thing and it's on TV, for whatever amount of time's left of that movie, that my day is going to stop for that amount of time. I can't help but to watch it. Just one of those childhood movies that, to me, is like a cult classic. But I'll never forget that one scene. My dad, even when the thing's over, you know, we're sitting there at the dinner table, he just bust up laughing. And he's thinking about old Jackie Gleason saying that. It's funny how certain little things will trigger somebody in a way that'll just have you in hysterics. And you just can't, I mean, you think about that forever and you still laugh about it. You're just sitting there in a crowd of people and all of a sudden you just bust up laughing and they think you're nuts. You're thinking of some joke or something, you know. I'm almost to Castle Rock here, so I'm gonna slip away on you. There's no sign of any sunset, and with the, you know, we got the coastal mountains and the Willapa Hills. It's close by here. Like I've said way too many times to probably say it again. They block the sun before sunset, and well, let's just see what it is here right quick. Then I'll let you go. What time is sunset tonight? Alright, 6:15. So technically I have almost a half an hour. So, oh, look, it's only 5:45. Jeez, how fast was I going? Holy crap. I'm already at Castle Rock. I've only got 15-20 minutes to make it to my house. I might have got some sunset. But, as you can see, the clouds are not cooperating. Anyway, we're about to hit the 40 mark, so I'm going to let you go here. I appreciate you guys riding along. I hope this was somewhat entertaining. I actually had fun with this one for some reason. Sometimes I get towards the end and I think I was just talking the talk, you know, and I think, There's nothing in that thing. But I think we're always a little bit self-doubting, I think. Or sometimes I just listen back to it and I just go, just rambling on. It's like sometimes you're thinking of other things, but you're still talking, and you should just shut up and stop the video. But anyway, I had fun. It was fun talking about my dad, granddad, and all those little things and little fond memories. So I'm gonna roll out. I will chit chat with you kind folks later on. So thank you very much for watching now, and sorry for the free. I haven't had a single bike wave back at me yet today. These are anti-freeway wavers. Some people go, I don't wave on the freeway. It's too distracting. And you're going at speed, blah, blah, blah. But I wave. A lot of times they wave. But anyway, that's it. Thank you guys very much. We'll talk to you later now. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. We'll see you. Bye-bye now.